much from language. So I'll do it in Spanish. I love that. Anyway, seriously. So so the appraiser will come in. He'll look at the house, the condition of the house, the comps in the area, what's sold in the area, all of that. And he'll come up with that price. So if you offered, originally $350,000 for my house, we do inspections, and we agree, yes, 350 is the final price. As the appraiser, he's gonna or she's gonna come in, and they're going to do their appraisal and make sure it appraises for 350,000. Because if it appraises for 300, say if I'm the appraiser, and I'm not, but if I'm the appraiser, say it's 325, then you're 25,000 over the appraisal for the price of the house that you agreed to, and that reflects on a lot of different things. But the biggest thing, I think, anyway, I'm out of my lane here, is mortgage, because the mortgage people are the ones who actually send the appraiser to do the appraisal, because they want to make sure if I'm giving you 350,000 or 325,000, that property is really worth that. So they have a vested interest to make sure it's really worth it. So that's kind of the answer.
So does a home have to have an inspection?
No, it doesn't. I'm working on legislation though, so I appreciate you. I appreciate your vote in November, along with about everybody else, right? Oh my gosh, now I really got to stand. No. I was telling everybody when I got here there were 3 people. If we get over 4 people, I have to stand up.
Okay, only if that was your choice.
No, it's my choice. I need to stand anyway. So.
All righty, troops, let's move on. So I'm glad you all came to tonight's class. This is something that traditionally we have in our program about every 4 months, okay? And the reason why we have it every 4 months is, as you know, we're always getting a new wave of people in every single month, right? And the whole thing is the inspection process is tricky. It's very challenging. Has anybody done an inspection? Gone through it? Good. How many?
3 or 4.
Okay, good.
Oh, okay.
Good. Anybody else? Danette, you did one too. Okay, good. How many? 2?
Maybe 3.
3. Okay, good. First time that you got that inspection report, right? Remember when you got it? It was like, what the heck do I look at, right?
Yeah.
It's like not 52 pages, but it's like 30 some pages, right? And then depending on the inspection company that sends it, some of them are red and it says like severely in need of.
Yeah.
And it's like, you read it, it's like rock wall is separated from the area with an angle that's not acceptable. What the hell does that mean, right? And then it's like, oh, more detail on page 33, and you scroll down to 33, and great, there's a picture with the same exact language, right? So the whole thing that we're going to be talking about tonight is inspections. Now, Greg and I go back a long time ago. First of all, Greg is going to be there with Hiring Happy Hour next week on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So at least when you come to Hiring
Really
Happy
looking
Hour.
forward to that. This is good too.
Yeah. But Greg and I go back, God, it's been about 8 years now.
Yeah.
Keller Williams Doylestown. So he's taught my people at Keller Williams Doylestown. He's taught my people at Keller Williams Langhorne, and then I brought him over to Princeton here. Okay, so we go back a long time, and I'll tell you, the nice thing is we talk all the time about wanting to use our mortgage companies. Remember this conversation? And I always try to give you the best advice as you're going forward, because if you can make your life easier, and quite honestly, mine, helping you, every single time you're going to want to use one of our mortgage companies, right? We talked about the reasons why, but in simple English, at the end of the day, if there's a problem with the mortgage, I could call Kat or Pinky and be like, yo, what's this mean in English, so I could translate for them, and I could get involved with the deal, right? If you're using XYZ mortgage company based out of Ohio, I could call all day long, but they can't talk to me because I'm not on the deal, right? Same with inspections. What you're going to find, quite honestly, again, I'm not telling you to use Pillars to Post, but you're going to find that they're pretty much all the same friggin' price, relatively speaking, okay? The main reason why I've utilized Greg over the years is when you guys get back the inspection report, and even when I help you and I read them and go, I don't even know exactly what that means, right? Because some of that stuff is Greek. I mean, it's an entire house, 25 years of doing this. And even I sometimes, especially when it comes to things like well and septic and stuff like that, I'm constantly going to him when I have well and septic. I don't really understand well and septic all that well, you know, because it only comes up every so now and then. But the cool thing is, when you get an inspection report from Pillars to Post, I understand the language that they use, and if I don't, we could call Greg together, and heck, if I'm busy, I'll say, yo, do you remember Greg? Did you come to any of those classes that Greg was on? Did you watch that video that we have on our YouTube page? Call him and just drop my name, and he will help you translate of what the heck this report says. And that is extremely valuable, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so that is one of the main reasons why we talk about the home inspection report, constantly utilizing them. I think Greg and I have probably done, I don't really know how many inspections I've done with Pillars to Post in my group. 100?
Oh, gosh, I can't even.
Right, I don't know, but about, we'll just say 100 for now. Wow, am I actually short a seat? Wow. Wow, we're growing, guys.
This is good.
I was gonna say, Jeanette, do you want me to grab you a chair? You got one?
Oh, no.
Yeah, Carmen doesn't bite too bad. Should've- What's up? What's that? Absolutely. So the reason we bring in Greg is to really understand what's going on in an inspection. You, my friend, I'm glad you came in, my Wheaties guy, you know, but inspections. You have been dragged through the mud, beaten down on inspections, kicked on, and spit at on your last 2 or 3, haven't you?
4,
Yeah, yeah.
But who's counting?
Exactly, but as you know, the first time you read it, even, I remember we had that tricky one when I first joined this office, remember?
Yeah.
And it was crazy, wasn't it? And inspections, the #1 reason why you lose a deal in a real estate process is because of, what's number 2? Just so you know. Okay, absolutely. Number 3? Crazy people. But #1 is inspections. Here's the other thing that you don't, or maybe don't realize, because a lot of you guys are new. Inspections, me and Greg have lived through this a lot. During the last 2.5 years, it's really since COVID, I guess. Oh yeah, hell, even during COVID.
Just after COVID.
Yeah, just after COVID. Everybody's been, was waiving inspections left, right, and sideways.
Less so in New Jersey, more so in Pennsylvania.
Very good, yeah, thank you. That's right, I'm in Jersey today. But yeah, absolutely, people were waiving inspections. We are seeing a change in the market. We talked about this last week. If you guys ever see, I mean, you just look at, you know, I call it the New York Times. Whatever you get your news from, we see unemployment going up. They're talking about reducing rates. Remember I showed that picture showing times, more houses on the market and all that kind of stuff? We're seeing a change. As it goes back to a regular market, not an extreme seller's market that we're in, we're gonna see more inspections. If you guys, when you see a buyer's market, oh my God, inspections are gonna be through the roof crazy, and that's when all negotiations come into play, okay? But again, with these inspections, it's great to have somebody in our pocket, right, that we could call. And that's why we utilize Greg a lot. But even if you decide, hey, I got my own guy or girl on inspections, cool. Today's about understanding inspections, not Greg's inspections, okay? What was the #1 thing you learned on the inspections? Just in general, from as a newer agent. I'll come back. How are you guys doing?
2 inspectors can look at a property and see fair.
Very good. Where's it? There you go.
Knowing what's a fire and what's not. Like,
Yeah.
What was that? Knowing what's an issue and what's not. Like you almost can mention something that wasn't an issue and then blow it.
I think back with that is just like certain things, actually it's been both, certain things one inspector may say, hey, not a big deal, and then it's actually a huge deal.
Or inspectors versus VA, as we learned. I'm not going down that path, but that was a big deal.
OBA.
Yeah, that's a whole other one. I don't want to go, they'll confuse the heck out of them. But yeah, one of the more challenging ones that I've seen if we weren't able to save it. But, and here's the other thing. Everybody in the world on the New York Times, as I'll keep calling it, all they hear, all they see is when I sell my home, I'm going to make buku dinero, right? And when they sell that home and they get an offer for, I don't know, $550, just for the sake of argument, they think that they're going to make how much on that home when it closes? $550. Right? In a regular, normal market, this is not how it works in society in real estate. If you have a $550 home in a regular market, negotiations go back and forth on these inspection process, and that's probably $537, $538 home. Okay? And the sellers need and will start adjusting their mindset. I was just having this conversation literally over here with Eva. Remember Eva Hajik over at Keller Williams Langhorne? Even though I'm not there anymore, I help my old troops when they run into a problem. And the thing is, what we're seeing is sellers are so predetermined that they're making this money, right? And now when somebody comes through on inspections, they're going, I ain't doing shit, right? Times are a-changing, my friend. Times are a-changing, okay? So the nice thing with tonight's class, again, also is we have at least 20 minutes at the end, I think we scheduled, for any inspection, or questions that come up on inspections. So we're gonna be able to fire away. You still have your program that could call and go out and?
Yeah.
Okay, good, just wanna make sure. Yeah. The other nice thing that Greg does, and confirmed a couple seconds ago, you still have some in Jersey around this area, Joe?
We do, yeah.
Okay, good. Is when we're done here, if you wanted to go on an inspection and just watch the inspection, you could contact Greg. He'll try to find something near your house, near Princeton, and just go. The only thing, this is a nice thing, Greg and I working together, is if you go and you will have questions, do not ask those questions right there in front of the customer. You have 2 ears, 1 mouth, shut up, please. We had a problem with that the one time.
Forget the mouth, just, you got 2 ears.
Yeah, feel free to write down all the questions. He'll be glad to answer it. Just don't go, well, that looks like a friggin' problem with that crack in front of the buyer when you don't know who this buyer's agent is.
We've only had that happen.
We did, but forever it is
That's why we said
burned
this
in
now.
my soul
That's
from
why
that
we say it
experience, okay? But that is one really cool thing, that you can, including all my Zoomers and Zoomettes out there, contact Greg and pretty much go out there for a mock inspection and just watch. We have done many times, and we tried tonight, we just weren't able to do it. It's really hard after hours. We usually do a mock inspection at a house. We were trying to find a house around here to do a mock inspection. But we were unsuccessful because, as we know, somebody puts out a house and what happens 2 days later? It's sold. So we weren't able to find that window, but that kind of gives you an idea. As far as, before I turn it over to my boy here and he takes over, is there anything specific that you want to learn tonight about inspections besides the obvious? What are they and how they occur and what are we running? Is there anything specific that anybody wants to, so Greg can start formulating that in his head?
Maybe like, it seems like when you're doing open houses, the common theme that I always hear, and I'm a new agent, but what I've been hearing when people are even walking through would be the foundation cracks, the settling versus what's really an issue, like basements particularly, and maybe like the piping as it's rolling, you know, that kind of stuff. People just see that visual. What's this spot? Why is it discolored?
Right,
And usually it's around a crack or a foundation
Right,
crack type.
right,
of
okay.
stuff.
Yeah, that's good, and, yeah, I can touch on that for sure. And I've got a picture of a foundation crack, worst case scenario.
Okay,
I think it's the last one that we show
okay,
here, but, it's the worst case scenario.
okay.
So find that one, we got a lot to talk.
Another one is
To
stuff.
piggyback- I'm sorry. no,
That's
to-
right, you had your
I'm
finger
sorry
up, I
to
saw the
that.
finger.
I wanted to piggyback off of that, and, mold. I'd like to hear a little about mold.
Oh,
Okay,
mold.
Yeah, I've got mold, I've
That's a
I've
good
got
one.
mold here.
But
I
I'm
got one
sorry
here.
I interrupted you.
Oh, no, I'm gonna add another one is stucco.
Those
Those are the two that I.
Dirtiest word in real estate.
Yeah, stucco's a four-letter word. I know
It's like
it
dropping
looks
the
like more,
F-bomb.
but it's a four-letter word.
Those are my
Yeah.
two areas. that I wish I knew a little bit more, to schmooze my way through, at least what to say to.
We
get
should
to
talk,
you.
so just to give you an idea on basement cracks and wet basements, I have a 2.5 hour 4
Oh,
CE
wow.
class that I teach,
Oh,
just on
okay.
that. I have
And I took
I have a 15-minute version too.
it.
And then I also on stucco, I have about 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
But
So
on
that's
stucco,
okay, good.
I have a mold piece that's, again, back to 2.5
Mold,
hours.
yeah,
Because I teach
yeah.
continuing ed in
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
I don't do
But not
Jersey
here.
yet, but I teach CE for real estate agents every 2 years. In PA, we have to get the renewals.
Yeah.
And so I teach I have 14 hours I teach.
Okay.
And that
That would be a good
mold
one,
gets
I'd like.
2.5 hours, stucco gets a little bit. And I mean, you can go as deep as you want. Sometimes it's like teaching you how to, build a watch when you really just want to know what time it is.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's like really good to know. And, yes.
This may be a stupid question.
No such thing in this program.
Like plumbing sounds.
Plumbing sounds.
Yeah, plumbing
Yeah,
sounds.
I like this. That's good.
Six.
Plumbing sounds. That'd be a great name for a class. I've got a class called Water In, Water Out. And that's basically about plumbing, because you got incoming water and outgoing waste, and it's like the plumbing sounds.
Anybody else?
Are you in such a roofing?
I will, yeah, I'll touch on roofing. And that's the thing with this, I'm gonna touch on everything.
Okay.
I'll be back, and he says every 4 months. If
Okay.
you guys want education, feel free to push him, and I'll come back sooner.
Okay.
So, because I love this part of my work. This is my happy place, so.
So I've encountered chimney caps and chimney linings.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. Very good.
Very good.
Oil tanks.
Oil
Oh, yeah.
tanks.
Oil
Oil
tanks.
tanks.
Very good.
You mean they have oil tanks? I'm just kidding.
Because eventually, here's your 400 level material, as I call it. When you become a really good agent, when it's your all-star, top of the line agent, do inspections with buyers. You also do inspections when you sell it
Oh, yeah.
beforehand. You want to be a freaking rock star, real top-notch agent. This is one of the great separators. We were talking about like our success, our buyer story, as we were calling it was 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. Which, by the way, I'm now going to do next week.
Not yet.
But I have Greg come in. But that's a whole thing, because like, great example, we were talking about your aunt. I don't know anything about that house, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, the worst thing that you could humanly do is list a home on the seller side. And all these offers come in, you accept the offer, you're partying in the street, happy joy, right?
Money you didn't get.
And then it freaking dies, because on that house, they find mold. They find all these issues. And what's worse is a lot of times with the township, you have to have certain things to be able to sell that home, which come up in inspection, right? So now you have to put the house back on the market, which goes against your days on the market. And in today's market, if somebody sees, God, that house has been on the market for 20 days, it's a piece of crap, right? And now you have to explain why that house, it failed inspection. There's a great way to start a conversation, right? And then on top of that, we control who goes out there and does repairs. And you know what? For 450 still?
I mean, at the very
Inflationary
top,
times?
450, yeah.
Okay, well, use 450.
469 actually.
I was pretty close. It's been a while. 469. You're gonna put the house in the market for 300 grand. They're gonna pay $469. Very minimal amount. And if they give you any pushback, guess what you do? Just increase the sales price on the house by $500. That's kind of a story for another day, but I think you understand. I mean, my best agents that I work with over the years, and all these cappers that you hear these terms, the top of the cream de creme. Every single house. I have a good friend of mine named Sarah Peters, who is in this program in Doylestown, and she's the #2 person in Doylestown in production. 4 years later, a rookie, 4 years ago, is #2 out of 355 agents. And she will not take a listing under any conditions unless the seller agrees to do an inspection. If you could explain the value on why you do that, makes you an all-star and doesn't make you look like a rook, does it? I've done enough talking.
Well, can you just add one more?
Sure.
You don't have to cover it this time, but I want to put in cisterns, underground
Cistern.
systems.
They use sister. It can be a problem. Sisters. CIS.
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 There's also brothers.
All yours, brother. You take over, man.
That's my job.
Mike is here. Stand there so they can see.
Oh.
A little different than ours.
Hey, y'all. So you can see me. How many do we have on Zoom? Oh, wait, it's up there.
We know. We record the classes and I send it out, different than the way I did it last night.
Oh, okay, okay. So good. All right, guys. Well, thank you, Dave. That was very kind. And, yeah, so we could pull it all night. Have you ever did that? Yeah, there's a lot to go over. So, thank you for that. This is actually the little ad that we put out. So let me get the keyboard here. I got it. It's okay. Yeah, that'd be great. I think I wrote enough stuff in. I got more in the car. So there's a lot of things that we do. Oh, it's over here too. A lot of things that we do in terms of inspections. We do every inspection, every testing. We want it to be, when I've owned the business for 12 years now. And when I bought it, we did home inspections, radon testing, and drilling. And that was it. So I could tell that agents were like, well, I gotta get a septic inspection. I have to order water testing. I have to get mold inspection or mold testing. I have to, all these other things. It's like, why don't we do that? Why don't you have, one-stop shop, basically you go to one place and get everything done by one company. So over the years, actually the first couple of years, we pulled it together and were able to really do everything that you would ever want. Some of these things we do ourselves, some we do use subcontractors. So like septic, for instance, but we do everything. So you can make one call, get everything done. That's a big deal in this business because home inspections it's still a cottage industry. It's still a mom and pop. Billy Bob was a contractor. He got his knees gave out. He wants to go be a home. It's a lot easier job than being a crawling through crawl. Well, of course, we got to crawl through crawl spaces. I don't anymore, but unless I want to. I love crawl spaces, by the way. My favorite place. You meet all sorts of new little friends in there. And I love crawl spaces. And my favorite line is I'm going in. I'm like, all right, guys, I'm going in. If I'm not out in a half hour, call 911. But it is something where it's a cottage industry. Now, in my world, we're Pillar to Post is a national company. We're international, actually, Canadian and US. And we've got over 600 franchise business owners across North America. So we're a franchise. That brings us a lot, but it doesn't mean a lot to you. But it does mean that we have systems and processes for everything. And so that there's a consistency from one Pillar to Post delivery of an experience to another. So I've had buyers come in and the agent will say, well, I want you to use Mike here. He's my inspector. And the buyer will say, no, I've had Pillar to Post in Denver and in Des Moines and in Dubuque. I mean, whatever. I've had Pillar to Post in all these places. I want a Pillar to Post inspection. And they're like, okay, sure. And then that agent sometimes sees us operate and goes, oh, I'm going to start referring you guys too. So it's good to be affiliated with a national company similar to this is a franchise as well. Williams are franchises, so it's a similar system, a similar process. So that's just a little bit about us. I've owned the business for 12 years, going on 13, and bought an existing business. And we've got a number of inspectors. We cover New Jersey, Southeast PA, and do pretty much every inspection we want. So that's about it for the commercial. I don't need any more commercials into the whole thing. Have any of you guys experienced any Pillar to Post inspections, whether it's my team or anybody else? You have? Okay, great. Who in this area?
I think the Moore.
Oh, Dave Moore.
Yeah, Dave.
Yep. Okay. Has it been a regular thing or a one-time thing or?
Actually, I just used them we used them when we purchased our house.
Oh, did you? Okay. All right. Great. How did that go?
It's good.
It was during COVID time. So it's not really
Yeah,
much.
yeah, you did good. Yeah, that's great, okay, good. Good to hear. So Dave's another, Pillar Post franchise business owner. And that's great, that's awesome. So I'm gonna cover these 4 things, and one thing you'll notice about me is I won't read the slides to you. I think we all can read. So, but this is really, the crux of it is this guy right here. Because as a real estate agent, and I'm up to here in real estate agents, I started bought my first house when I was 19, which is a very long time. I've dealt with real estate agents since I was 19, and intimately the last 12, 13 years, and really gotten to know your business, because the more I know your business and the more my team knows your business, the better off we are to be able to deliver, and get you to the finish line, to the closing table, which is what we all want. And we want that too for you. We don't want a buyer to buy a house they don't want, but we want to get everybody to the closing table, because that's really keeps the industry moving and everything works. But you guys are expectation setters who happen to sell real estate, who happen to help people buy new homes and sell their homes. You set out every day and set expectations, and you can set them either too high and not deliver, or you can set them too low and be the rock star. Sometimes you can set them too low. But it is about setting expectations. And my experience before this, I was in a corporate life, not at 19, but later in life, and I moved every couple of years, and the company would prescribe a real estate agent to me. So, hey, you're going to Baltimore. How about that? I've never been to Baltimore. Sure, let's go to Baltimore. So you pick up everything, you move from, in that case, Des Moines, Iowa, to Baltimore, and they give you a real estate agent, and you walk in and you meet them. And I could, after a while, after about 5 or 8 real estate, you can tell who knows anything about houses. Okay, you just know. And I'm not like trying to test a real estate agent. What is that? It's like, I don't know. But you just know. There's a confidence level that the agent has about what a house is all about. And it just, they exude that confidence. And it's really, really good, really neat to see. I've also had agents who didn't know. My analogy is when my wife bought her current car, she's had 10 years, 12 years now, she likes to keep them a long time. We're driving and it's used. It's got 40,000 miles on it. It's only 2 years old. It's like 5 miles. Now it's got 60,000 miles on it. 12 years later, it's very driving. Anyway, so it's hilarious. And so she's driving, and the guy's in the drum seat, the sales guy, and I'm in the back seat just listening, because I'm not going to get involved in this city. I'll talk about keeping your mouth shut. So, but she's like, well, what does this do? And the guy, the sales guy, I don't know. Well, how about this knob? How do I control it? No, I don't know. Check the manual when I can. After about 3 things, she's like, I can just tell she's like, really? And you're selling on this? Come on. And so it's like that. Now, you don't need to know all about hydrostatic pressure as relates to horizontal cracks and the 3 main fixes for that. Okay, I can teach it to you, but you don't need to know. But you do need to know enough to say, oh, well, not pointing out problems either. Pointing out the good things, because we do that during inspections. You should, be able to see a laminated beam in the basement or above the garage doors that go, that's a laminated beam up there. That's a really good upgrade. It's a really nice thing to have. It doesn't have to be like anything expert. Just point out that's a really good thing to have. It shows, and you only have to do one of those during a showing, and your clients, your expert, their feelings about you as knowing your product goes through the roof, because you knew that laminated beam. You only need to know a couple of things. It's pretty simple. So you might pick up a couple tonight, a couple of nuggets. If you can walk away with that, that'll be helpful. So why do we want to have an inspection? Basically, it's the most important 3 hours your buyer is ever going to have with their house. We know that. Okay, we go into it. This may be my 3,000th, 5,000th inspection, but it's their first. It might be your first as a buyer's agent. We got to go in there like it's our first, not our first inspection. You know what I mean? Treat it that this is an important thing, And that 3 hours is so critical, because in many cases, especially in the seller's market, they went in they had one showing, 20 minutes, in and out, place an offer. And my son, as he said, Dad, I spent $1 million, and which I'm really excited about. My son said, spent a lot of money on a house, but it scares me, but Dad, I spent $1 million on a house, and I spent more time buying a pair of shoes than I spent spending $1 million. And I'll never forget those words coming, they told me that. And oh, by the way, he went back for inspections. He had to go back. I couldn't do it in Boston, but he did. And we had a pillar post guy up there do it, but he did inspections. And he found some things, and it worked out great. And it all worked out, but he was so, cranked up about it. And I went up during the inspections. I stayed out of it. I didn't even tell him I didn't wear my shirt. I just was Dad. But it was interesting to watch the inspector work, and you're right. Their delivery and sometimes what they say and do can be different. And I saw that with my son's inspector. It's like, wow, he did a great job, but it was different. It's like, okay, a little bit different, same delivery, but a little bit different. So those three hours are really, really important. We're going to uncover major defects, okay? People think that's the only reason for a home inspection. It is not. That's one reason for a home inspection. The other reason for the home inspection is this right here. It's the care and feeding of that largest investment I'm ever going to make. Think about that. It's the biggest investment I'm ever going to make. I have a guy. I have a general practitioner in me. I'm not a specialist by any means in any category, but I'm a GP, and I'm going to walk you through the house and explain how to change the furnace filters, which direction to put them in. And I've gone as far as to take a Sharpie out and draw the airflow. I know it's not your house yet, but when it is, you're going to appreciate this. And just make sure that these arrows line up. Okay, thanks. Those are the little things that we can do to make it so much better for that buyer after they move into the house. The other thing we do, which is not here, is when we finish an inspection, we tell the buyer, for as long as you own the home, you have an inspector. You can call us anytime for anything. If somebody's here trying to sell you windows, like, well, you need new windows, just like, call me. Maybe you do need new windows. Maybe it's 5 years from now, something happened or whatever. But before you do call, I'm happy to help, and I'm not biased. I'm not gonna sell you. So that's kind of the whys of the inspection. And a material defect is this. And you can read while I'm doing our driveway speech. So each of our guys, my team, we do a driveway conversation. It's the same with each of the guys, within a few words. And when they're in training with us, they have to get it down right and in front of the whole crew who have rotten fruit and vegetables to throw at them if they don't get it. But it is, it's brutal. And so they have to go, hey guys, welcome to your home inspection. Is this your first inspection? Oh, no kidding. Congratulations. This is your first house. That's fantastic. Well, listen, do you have any questions or concerns about the house before I get started? Field those, answer those, not in detail, but say, well, we're going to get to the roof. We're going to go ahead and make sure we're going to look for mold. Well, what about mold? We're going to be looking for mold throughout the inspection. Okay? And I'll explain it when I see it and when we see conditions that are conducive. Okay. Anything else? No. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about what's going to happen. Everybody's dying to go, let's get started. Because every inspector walks up the driveway and goes, okay, let's get started. You don't do that. This is the biggest investment they're ever gonna make, and they get 3 hours with me. Let's talk about what's gonna happen. So we're gonna say, hey guys, we're gonna go around the outside of the house, invite you to come along with me. You can follow me everywhere, including the crawl space if you want. Meet new friends, but you can't go on the roof with me. So I'm gonna take pictures and video of the roof. I'll show you that when I come down off the roof and give you a tour of the roof and see what's going on up there. But outside of that, follow me around, look over my shoulder, ask questions, and interrupt me, please, because I really want to answer your questions when they pop into your head. So don't hold off on a question, ask if there's no dumb questions. I'm going to be looking for health and safety things. Anything that this is this way. Anything that can cause you any bodily harm, can shock you, can trip hazards, anything that can be a safety issue. I'm going to bring that up during the inspection. We're going to call those major defects, and I'll point that out during the inspection. And I'm going to put this in a report, it's gonna be a major defect. I'm also gonna look for maintenance opportunities, things that aren't really defects, but could use a little upkeep here and there. Hey, this looks like you're probably getting ready to get some caulk around the windows. We're gonna talk through those too. And I'll put all those things in the report, so they'll be in there, but all the major things will be at the front of the summary of the report, so you can go straight to it. Any questions? All right, let's get started. And that's the conversation in the driveway. And it covers what this is. Now, they've also seen this when we sent out a visual inspection agreement, which they didn't read, probably like they didn't read their agreement, so they should, when they signed it online, but definitely should read it, but that has everything in it. So material defects, basically those are the things, health and safety, anywhere where there's a trip, a shock, anything that can hurt anyone. We get up every day as home inspectors to help people move into safe, healthy homes. That's why when I hear this wave of people waiving inspections, it's just, so it's really soul crushing for me, because it's like, oh my gosh. You know, I mean, all I can think of is the first time home buyer that we went in the crawl space in a rancher, and Sharif went in the crawl space, and Sharif's about as big around his knife finger. And he crawled, it wasn't this crawl, it was this crawl. It was the Army crawl. Go back into the corner of the crawl space, and he starts seeing termite damage as in a couple of the joists. And he's from here to there, because I ended up going in that part of it, so it's not all the way back. Just couldn't fit back there. But he went all the way back to the corner. He got pictures of the rim joist and the sill plate, which a rim joist on a house is, a sill plate is what the whole house sits on top of the foundation. A rim joist is a piece of wood that stands on top of it, that everything gets built on, was gone. It wasn't just kind of like, oh, there's a few termite damage. It was gone, $140,000 repair on this house. We later found out. Had they bought that house without an inspection, maybe they would have never had a problem. Or maybe they'd have fallen through a floor at some point, but probably not. But when they go to sell it, talk about expecting to get whatever, somebody's gonna go back there and find that. And that's not gonna be good, because they had to, you know, they would have had to lift the whole house up, put in all new, you know, it's an episode of This Old House right there. You know, so, any of you guys watch This Old House? Okay, so stream that thing, all right? Watch all of them. Go back to 1937 when they had the first one. I don't know how long, but I mean, these guys have been doing this for years. Watch every episode.
One of the channels also has a show about inspectors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And there's
I
one,
forget the guy's name.
oh, no, that dude, he's been out there a while. He's gone, I think he's done now. I think he's gone. on.
Oh, yeah, no, I think, yeah, they're probably old now, but,
Yeah.
you know, houses are houses.
He did, yeah. And the one, yeah, I can't, Mike something, he's Canadian.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He's Canadian. Okay. And yeah, he used to, he was on when I first bought the business, and I'd be like, on his show, I'd watch it, and I'm like, and he's one of those big verbose guys, it's like,
Yeah.
well, you know, and well, we tore down this wall, and the inspector should have seen that there was a, wait a minute, wait. So you tore down the wall, and the inspector should have seen what was behind the torn down wall. Sellers get really pissed when you tear down their walls. I'm just saying, let's not do that. But it is, that was funny. But it sells ads on TV, so that's the whole point. But yeah, so anywhere where there's water coming in and out, we want to make sure there's no leaks. Anywhere where it could come in from the outside of the house. So one today, really interesting. Anyway, mold, there's mold associated with this, crazy. This morning, it wasn't an inspection, it was a re-inspection, because I'm gonna jump the tracks for a second. So as an example, okay, with inspections, oh my gosh, this is a 3-year agent from, I don't know if you know the name, I don't remember the name, so it doesn't matter. But she may have been in your program, may have not have, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't, that's why I didn't know the name, because I know a lot of people in this program all the time.
Langhorne?
Yeah, anyway, so the guy calls and says, hey, listen, we moved in 3 months ago, and we've had, you know, last week had this torrential, ridiculous rain that we couldn't make this classroom. And you guys know it. And he's got water coming in his house. It's a rancher in Levittown. And we called out the floor over by the wall in question was spongy. It's like, and this is a slab which is a concrete slab on grade, which is on the grade with a, and it was a flip. Okay, so beware the flip. I do a class on flips called Flipzilla. Real stories. I want to do an HGTV show called Flipzilla. You just go around and that wouldn't be cool. Anyway, so on the floor this morning or noon, 12:30 this afternoon, I was there and I'm like, oh yeah, that's soft. And then, yeah, it's great. I said, so did you ask for, he said, oh yeah, no, in the reply to inspection, we asked for these things to be repaired. I said, did they? He said, yeah, well, they did. So I went around the outside of the house. And here's the important thing. Well, it's a slab. You still have to worry about grading. Okay, grading is when. Oh man,
Bad throw.
I almost
Justin
did it.
Fields it.
If I didn't have that torn meniscus, man, I would have nailed it. So grading is, this left-handed here. So this is a level grade, right? So I've got my house here and this house right here is standing and it's got, okay, the windows, the whole thing. Well, what's happening is the back of the house has a grade that's coming down toward the house. So when you stand in the backyard, the water's coming down the hill. It's not a super steep hill, but it's about yay. Okay, and over here, it's graded. Okay, and so you've got the foundation, which is just a slab right here. Oh, it gets better. So the driveway and the house had a looks like somebody with a character. So the driveway was right here, and then they added another driveway here that went up the side of the house. Okay, and the driveway itself had been paved over. Okay, you know how that looks, right? But it was concrete, but then they just paved right over the top of it, over on this side, so even higher. And the asphalt covers about that much of the bottom course of the siding.
Wow.
So we called this all out in the home inspection. I mean, we were like, okay, this is, this is a big deal. This is, don't take this lightly. And that's where you were talking about the inspector going, what's a big deal, what's not.
Right.
If you read an inspection report, you can interpret everything as they're all, okay, the GFCI outlet is a major, defect. Well, it's $39, okay, for somebody to fit $100. I don't want to quote an electrician price. It's cheap. This is not, and it's listed right by it. So that's where the conversation comes into play during an inspection, because a GFCI will have the conversation. I have pictures of this, and the conversation was like, hey guys, this is pretty typical. You can see this in this age house. We just want to make sure we get a GFCI in here. If you know an electrician, they can come in and do this really easily. The outlet itself is about whatever, excellent. But this, the conversation is, listen, between the spongy floor, which we haven't been inside yet, we do the outside of the house first. But when we get inside, that's why Neil, our inspector, or any of our inspectors, if that's this side of the house, we're gonna walk over and do this. And we're gonna put a moisture meter down on the wall down there. And we're gonna be like extra special attention, because that water is going somewhere. And so in the reply to inspection, and this is the important part, and Dave, you can probably chime in on this. The reply to inspection said, we want you to make it so that no water comes in here. Well, the only way to do that is to either go all crazy and tear this all up and regrade it away from the house and out to the street. Or you could dig a trench, cut it, dig a trench down, put a French drain in, put a cistern, which is a dry well, a small one, you don't need a big one, but a dry well in the corner, and have it drain out. So, but something, basically all they got was an invoice from the flipper, or a paid invoice from some other person who knows who it is, for $3,500. No details of what was done or anything else. Now, was the agent right not to dig in a little more and find out what was done? Probably could have been a little bit better. And okay? I don't want to second guess an agent, but if I'm the buyer, no, heck yeah, I want to see what they did. And I want a detail about what they did, and I want a guarantee on what they did. Come on. And because a lot of times they'll say, well, just have there's a lot of mold down in the basement, just have the sellers, take care of it. The seller's gonna put bleach on that mold. And it's not gonna be, all they're gonna do is bleach, by the way, the mold, the only thing you need to know is it's 98% water. What is mold like?
Water, it goes in, the mold goes into organic materials.
It puts down roots.
Right.
And all you're doing with bleach is giving the mold a bath. It's happy. It's the best day ever. It's gonna just keep, it's like, it'll make it so you can't see it, because you're gonna put the bleach on, and you're gonna scrub it, and so the surface mold, yeah, that's gonna go away, unless there's gonna turn white, or whatever, it's gonna go away. It's coming back with a vengeance after settlement. Just saying.
Oh, my
It's a post settlement, we call it PSL.
So usual 30 minutes. Get through everything.
I have 30 minutes?
You have 30 minutes, you got 10 minutes for that. 15 minutes for questions, 15 minutes for ahas. I'll give you your half an hour.
That's an aha right there.
Yeah, exactly. So I know where you are,
Didn't
so.
we usually go longer than this?
What's that, with
Did
the
you
questions
change
and everything?
You come to Jersey and everything gets shorter. We'd be here till 9 o'clock.
I know, that's what I mean.
All right, sorry.
I got them out there at like 8.
We're gonna flip through some pictures, and then I do want to get to these things very briefly, 'cause that's, and then, so there's this. Okay, I'm just these are a few pictures from home inspections. I know, that'll slow you down. But basically what this is it's dirt. Okay, you can't see the problem here. What's happening is it's a loose toilet. So if you've ever seen a home inspector inspect a bathroom, he goes in and he flushes the toilet, and the toilet's right here. And we do the, of course, flush it and then just give it a jig. Okay, and the toilet's gonna do this, just a little bit. And it's pretty typical. And we tell people, it's pretty typical. You just wanna replace the wax ring underneath there. If it's new construction though, if it's a year-old house, okay, you don't have to replace the wax ring. Just that wax ring gets more, gets compressed, which is a wax ring that's underneath the toilet that creates a barrier for water to come out. The wax ring you just need to tighten the bolts down on the sides of the toilet. Don't do it. Get somebody who knows what they're doing to do it. Or you'll be going to Home Depot and buying a new toilet. It's from experience. I've done it myself. Because a lot of people go, oh, crank that bolt down on each side, and just crank your toilet. It's gone. There's no super glue for that. So yeah, so simple stuff. Anybody know what's going on here? What's going on way back in the back of that?
Separation of the. I don't know what's causing it, but that's insulation. It was sunken.
Well, it does look a little sunken. So what is actually going on here is the insulation is pushed all the way back into the soffit. And there's a soffit vent underneath there. And in attics, you want ventilation. People think, oh, I want a nice tight house. I don't want ventilation. No, you want ventilation in your attic. You want air coming in the soffits, which is underneath the eaves. When you walk into the front door of the house, look up and you'll see the little grates underneath the eaves. That's the soffit vents. You don't want to block those. Harry, the homeowner, was getting a little aggressive here, and he decided, well, we're going to put more insulation in the attic, shove it all the way in the corner, because he's Harry the homeowner. And so that it just happens. So, and that's what we say about it. So I don't think, basically, so in a comment, this is really important about what we write about things. Okay, you're not gonna get a paragraph about this. Okay, what you're gonna get about this, and I'll just touch on this. You wanna get this from your inspector. Inspectors that write a paragraph just want you to know how smart they are. And that's what it comes down to. And comments should be 3 parts, simple. What's wrong? What should you do about it? And why? So, observed insulation blocking the soffit vents. What's wrong? Recommend removing said insulation. Okay, to allow, which is what you should do about it. Pull insulation back, or whatever the comment says. And then the why. to help promote airflow in the attic and reduce the threat of mold. End of story. We don't need to explain why. We don't need to write a paragraph about it or two or three. There's an epistle in some of these reports. It's like, come on, man. 3 parts. And in our world, in my world, we have canned comments. And because our guys do an inspection on an iPad, and when they're done, the inspection's done. It's complete. They don't have to go home and sit on the computer and make it pretty. It's done. And they slide over the canned comment when they see this. Canned comment says, oh, yep, there it is. All right, so, and then they can move right on, and it's already there. Snap a picture with the iPad, and they're done. So, so here's another example in the attic. This is a dryer vent. I took this picture a long, long time. It's probably still just there. But this is a dryer vent. Dryer vents going through the roof are problematic. It's okay though. If it was going through the roof, it'd just be a minor conversation. Hey guys, we want to make sure you clean up the dryer vent occasionally, because that dryer vent stuff hates to go uphill. It just doesn't like going uphill. You need that, just to keep it clean. And but in this case, I had to mention it because it's dryer stuff. Anybody know what this is? I love who said water heater. Said water heater. Because a lot of people say, it's a hot water heater. It's like, no, if it was a hot water heater, it'd have hot water going into it. It's a water.
My sister waited her inspection, bought the house, and the day she went home. And I sold it now. So I said I was gonna be here.
How old is water heater?
That was it, and I was on the way calling, I called her today, and saying I was on the way here for the inspections. And now her HVAC system went $6,000 ahead. For inspection, she waited to get that out. She insisted. So I remember, I was like, wait a minute, that was like the thing.
So this is a pressure release valve, okay? And that's one thing, you'll find out the age of the water heater and the age of the furnace during a home inspection. So we'll tell you, okay, the water heater's 28 years old. Although it's a damn good water heater, because 28-year-old water heaters are bomb. 68-year-old water heaters are even better, but seriously, the closer we get to today, the crappier these machines get. It's life, it is. So now a water heater life expectancy, right now, something new is about 10 years. Used to be 12, used to be 15. Yeah, blah. They don't make them like they used to. Do I sound like an old man? I try not to do that, but this guy is a TPR valve, so pressure release valve. So the pressure release valve, if the water heater for some reason gets stuck open and on, water's boiling inside, it has to get released somehow besides going up. So this thing will flip up automatically, and it'll spray water out here, except because it's right up here, right about here, it's going to spray it like this. So if I'm standing next to it, I'm going to get that boiling water all over. So you need a pipe added to the bottom of that. This is a $20 fix to screw a pipe up. A lot of times, many times, nothing against plumbers. One of our guys is a former plumber. They just don't have a pipe with them, and it's too short. I got to get to the next job, and they just don't put it on, and that happens. So this, obviously, we know what's going on there. We test these out. You got to make sure you test them. If your sister has one of these and has kids and whatever, check it to make sure it's working. Put it wrong. Push the button, go out and do this is like the toilet move. And there's the inspector kick. There's all sorts of little moves we do. And you push the button on the door, and we'll look out to the door, and you go, yep, and it reverses. That's it. That's it. And we get the family involved, so we'll have not the kids. We'll, hey, Junior, go over there, stand there. When I push this button, go like that. So, but it gets the same point. So that's an important one. Again, super high safety thing. So let's talk about the inspection process. We're your consultant. We're gonna see problems. We're gonna see defects, what's wrong, and home maintenance, how things work, which I just started talking about. So about 2 to 3 hours. And in that 2 to 3 hours, we know that we need to do the exterior of the roof and the mechanicals of the basement. because we're gonna lose them, meaning the buyer. Because they're gonna be like, they wanna measure rooms, they wanna look at everything. They just bought this house, they wanna go spend some time looking around. So we really wanna get to those major things, because the major stuff is gonna be basement, exterior, end of story. The only other thing we'll find is the attic. After the basement, we go up to the highest level, and we go to the attic. So that's the only other place where there's sometimes a surprise, because of lack of ventilation, there's mold. And we find mold in a lot of attics, and it's a real deal. To address mold on that right now, high moisture levels in an attic will promote propagation of mold. And it's just plain and simple, add more ventilation, either mechanically with the fan, of pulling it out, pushing it in, or expand the vents and make more vents, and then remediate the mold, should go away, because ventilation is everything in an attic. Other ones are spot leaks in an attic. That's different, because it's a leak where there's a hole in the roof and it's got moisture coming in, and you're gonna have a hunk of mold. But a whole, like a 2,000 square foot, 2-story mold remediation in an attic is $3,000 or $4,000 max. So it's a day's work, 3 or 4 grand, probably this. So it's not like the end of the world. People freak out about mold, they shouldn't. Okay, have it tested. I talk people, that's one of my favorite things to do too, besides classes, is talk people off the ledge, because it's fixable. And I did that today in my Levittown friend's house. We took one, we can't do this during an inspection, but a re-inspection, and he cut the baseboard and we pulled it off. First piece we pulled off, wasn't anything. I'm like, well, your lowest spot out there is up through there. Let's take this one. We took off the next month, and it's black, like color here. Off the black mold, it's just black. And it's like, so we did a test swarm of it, and see what kind of mold it is. But he needs facts for possible future litigation, which is a separate thing. But, so yeah, real quickly, let's touch on this. So you're gonna have this is the written part is, sure, you're gonna get a PDF with a report in it. If you're not there as the agent, you're gonna have to interpret that PDF. Don't leave that to chance. After maybe 3,000 or 4,000 inspections, most transactions that you've done in your career, you don't have to go to the inspections. It's okay, you've seen them. Okay, maybe 1,000. But after your 999th house, you can quit going to inspections. But until then, go. Be there at the beginning, be there at the end. Watch the whole process. Don't try to make a mistake I've seen agents do. You've already sold the house. Sell the house. Tell them the features and benefits. You're there for the inspection. First step. You've already sold the house. I've watched it. Like, sales early in my career, it's like, shut up and write the order. You know, it's, yeah, just don't say anything. When they say, I want that, okay. But the verbal part is so important. Because color commentary, I mean, what would Monday Night Football be with just Al Michaels and not without Chris Kleiser or anything? They're not in Chris anymore, but that's a personal thing. But yeah, a little color commentary goes a long way. You really need that from an inspection. You need it to kind of explain and say, well, here's what, this is, take a deep breath. This is just some surface mold. It's underneath the sink. It's an old leak. So this is mold throughout the attic. Yeah, you need to take care of this. It's important. Don't say it's the attic, it's not part of the house. It's inside the building envelope, which is anything in the 4 walls of the house. So we want to do those things. And that's pass-fail. There are pass-fail things during inspections. Septic, it's a pass-fail. Now it may pass, or fail rather, because of a $300 baffle that's broken on the tank. And it may pass, or fail rather, because there's a crack in the tank and it's not holding water and you need a new tank. Or the leach field, which is a different class, isn't working and you need to replace the leach field. That's a $30,000 fix. It fails either way. So, if you ever get a septic report and it's your first septic, system inspection, make sure you get somebody involved that knows septic, that can talk you through how to negotiate, how to work, because you get your first failed septic inspection report. And we talk about that, there's breathing in and breathing out during the inspection process. You know, we want to help people breathe out, all right? You know, that's like, that's how people breathe, right? So yeah, and then other things that fail or pass, asbestos. If there's 0.1% asbestos, it's asbestos. End of story, hard stop, you gotta do something. And asbestos can be problematic from the mid-70s on beforehand, and it can be problematic in attics. So if you go in an attic and you find these little, pardon my gross, but I've never seen rabbit poo, little tubes of silvery looking, blackish looking gray stuff in an attic spread all over, it's called vermiculite. And it's got asbestos in it. I can't say that it does for sure. I have to send it in and have it tested. It's got- Especially if the house was built in 1948 or 52 or something like that. So that's something. So what else is possible? Oh, radon. 4.0 picocuries per liter. Write that down. 4.0 is the only number you need to know. And higher is high. 3.9 and lower is okay. That's EPA talking, that's not me talking.
That's for it all throughout the house.
Yep. So yeah, that's the, well, that's with the lowest level is where we take the reading. Buyer's agent, like I said, always 10 approved. I don't know how the New Jersey agreement of sale is, but in PA, you need to get anyone else approved to come on the inspection. Sisters, brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles, friends of friends can't show
New
up.
Jersey.
Okay, so you have to get them on. And if those people show up at the inspection, you have the express written consent of the commissioner of baseball to kick them off. Because they're not in the agreement of sale, and they can't be there. And so, I mean,
Whose approval do you need? The seller.
sorry, yeah, listing agent, so you put, actually, I think there's a provision in the agreement of sale that it has to list mom or dad or whatever. And that's a good thing, because if you've ever heard the term deal killer dad.
So really only the people who sign the buyer agency agreements who are perfect.
Yep, so the, you know, the couple, if it is, the single, or whatever, and or anybody they designate that they could be there. Before that was this thing, my eye was 7 additional people, all with flashlights and screwdrivers, and they're there to help. This is like a 1,200 square foot house. It's like, it was great, we had a blast. Once they got past the fact that, okay, this is, we can have fun with this, so it's okay. There was an electrician, he helped me do the panel, there was a plumber, they brought everybody. And, you know, so, but the challenge is if the inspector can get pulled away. And, hey, come and look at this, well, he's inspecting this, he can't really, and if you got 5 people saying, hey, come and look at this, it can be very distracting and take him off his game, and you don't want us off our game, we want him, and our guys are very good. Sellers, just, COVID changed everything, so just lock them in the back corner bedroom where their office is, don't let them out. And then when you're gonna do that room, let them out, hey, you need to go to bed. We're gonna come in here and inspect this room, open and close windows, okay, you can go back to your office now, and let them out. But yeah, I've had some sellers in the old days, when I was doing inspections, very disruptive, little old lady pushing past us in the bathroom and turning the water onto the toilet before I got to it. She said, yeah, it leaks. And so I turned the water on. I said, every time? She said, uh-huh. It's the only bathroom? Yeah, my husband just he passed away and nobody fixed it. And it was, you know, so it had some drips coming out of it. It was kind of darling, but it was also like, so. Anyway. Cute, potentially cute, but mostly disruptive. So there, back to the inspection. I'm gonna tell you what's going on here rather than ask, but we are missing the balusters up and down on this, all right? And this has probably been inspected 17 times since, and they're still missing the batteries. Nobody puts those in. Are you kidding me? 3-year-olds like to jump from here, the 4-year-olds from here, the 5-year-olds from here. That's just what they do, right? I mean, so, and there's other stuff going on in this picture that, you know, you can get into and talk about, which is here's some of that moisture in the basement. This is a parge coat and then paint over it and it's coming off. That's just natural. You're below ground. It's called subterranean. There's water down there. Tell anybody who's got 7 television sets on the wall, a pool table and carpet. Tell them that it's subterranean, there's water down there. But there is. So.
And the cinder blocks.
Yeah, and this is like a stone here. No, this is like a stone. You can see the outline of the stone here, so that they're fairly squared off stone, so it's not a rubble, like a 1700s, early 1800s foundation, which are cool. I go on every one of those inspections. I don't care. They're the best. Love those old houses. But yeah, so that's going on. This is a classic. So you're basically missing the extension on the downspout. It needs to go out of the way. And I don't have the further pictures from this. This is a flip. This is part of Flipzilla. The rest of the pictures are in that presentation, so stay tuned. The crawl space in this had water in it, and among many, many other things, but this one had 3 car jacks holding up the main beam, spaced about that far apart. Different years of car jacks. 1964 DeSoto, 1973 Chevelle. No, I'm just kidding. But they were. One was a scissor jack, and they're on blocks. And they're on blocks that are like blocks, concrete block, then a rock, then a piece of wood, and it's like this. It's hilarious. But the granite countertops are beautiful. But you want to get water pushed away from the house, kind of like our friend that I visited today. So setting right expectations, again, back to that. Tell them what's going to happen. So on the phone, when they book an inspection, and you can book online, we have an app that you can book from, or an online application. But we tell them what's going to happen. Hey guys, let me tell you a little bit about, do you have any concerns about the house? So they hear that from our office first, then they hear the same thing in the driveway. And then we set their expectations. But before that even happens, talk to your clients, your buyers about inspections. And not about waiving inspections, they'll make its way wherever it makes its way, but about here's what to expect when inspections are going to happen. And if throughout the process you have any questions about that, or you want them to talk to anybody, have them call me. I'll talk to you. Hey, talk to an inspector. If you're concerned about inspections, have them give me a call. I won't promise I won't go on for more than 20 minutes. But yeah, so that's basically that process. Cost. I'm not going to go through that. This is all news. Let's go back to the inspection. In your junk drawer, everybody's got a junk drawer in the kitchen, right? There's this thing right here. Okay, it's an anti-tip device for your stove. It's in the junk drawer because whoever installed the stove won't.
Every inspection you
What the
ever do
hell's
for the
this?
rest of your life, this will show up as a problem.
Yeah, and it might be in
Every single one.
the bag that came with the stove. That's in the junk drawer or somewhere with all of your bags with the instructions and all the manuals. But here's the thing. Every stove, this is another inspector move. So we have the toilet, there's a dance, there's that, and then there's that. We take the back of the stove and we pull on it. We can pull it out and tip it forward. It doesn't have an anti-tip device, 90%.
Yeah, how do you clean underneath it if you can't pull it out?
Oh, so
I'm kidding,
this thing actually goes on the floor. Imagine, this is the back of the fridge, or the stove. This thing goes here, and then you slide this in, the feet that are on the screws,
Yeah,
they go between
oh, gotcha.
that, and so it keeps it from tipping forward, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, and that's where a lot of people look at it and go, I think I know what it is, but yeah, let's make dinner. And so let's see if the stove is working, but it can be really dangerous. And as Junior can be, that's my 3-year-old, who's now 36-year-old. That's him. He's like, how do I get up there? Anyway, here's the electrician, same thing as the plumber, nothing against the trades guys at all. Love those guys, they're the best. But they just, they're in the attic and they forget. 5 minutes. And then, GFCI, again, $30, $25 fix, simple fix, but we have to call it out if it's within 6 feet of water. Now, some inspectors want to go all code on you. CODE, that's a 4-letter word. We are not allowed to use that word in inspections, ever. I only say it in class because, but we can't say the word code. Well, that's not a code. If I say code, I have to know every code, every updated code. And I have to follow all those, but I can't do that because every township's different. So we can't talk about code. It's just within 6 feet, my wingspan of water, you gotta have a GFCI. So, and oh, by the way, just as a side note, your security system at home, don't plug it into a GFCI. Because when the inspector tests it, we test these, and we put a plug in, we trip it automatic, by design. And then the sellers are freaking out because we just tripped their security system during an inspection, and they think, what are we doing? Now the cameras are all out. Are they robbing my, whatever? Just had that happen. Anyway, so, but it's sad, welcome to real estate. Double tap in a electrical, this is an electrical panel. This is a breaker in the electrical panel, and this is where Larry, the cable guy, installed the cable, didn't have any place to put it, so he stuck it in and it's double tap. It's a safety issue because it's a fire hazard. So every breaker should only have one wire going into hard set. So they just need to separate that, by the way. And oh, by the way, this is kind of like the TPR valve and some of the other things, the anti-tip device. It's 90%, so some high number percentage of home inspections have a double tap. Somebody put like a on it or something else, low voltage thing. So it happens. The difference between these two, this is non-grounded, this is grounded. If you think you're gonna plug your computer into this one with an adapter and you're okay, you're not. When the lightning strikes, you'll fry your machine. Hard stop. It's just same thing with your TV. So if you're in an older house that doesn't have grounding across all of those and you use an adapter, and there's nothing that's gonna keep you from that when that happens. So if you get an arc in the system and it's not a personal hazard, by the way. It's only a hazard if you're a television set or a computer. So, but you need to have those grounded. There's also a whole story about this with knob and tube wire, which is a thing we should talk about. That's the cadigit that we use to test the, I call it a cadigit. It's a technical term that we use to test the outlets with. So that'll tell us if there's a problem with the way it was wired. This is a main wire outside the house. It's all frayed. This is a window. This is simple. This is not, it's relax. It's okay. Now, if you have 10 of them, there's some dollars, but you don't have to replace the windows. This is basically a blown seal. You have 2 pieces of glass. The seals are compromised. Air comes in, water comes in with it. It gets between the panes and you cannot get it to clear off. Okay, you have to take it apart. And people come and take off one side of the window of the glass and they regas it and put it in. You don't have to replace windows. It's not a major defect unless there's a number of them, which adds up to more money than just a couple $100. So if there's 10 windows, now you're getting into the $2,000 category to fix them all. We want to put that in major counts. So this is what we call in our industry really cool termite damage. So just us talking, but this is extreme, and it takes a long time for that to happen. It's not like in the cartoons with Bugs Bunny where the termites come in and eat the house and it falls in the ground. It happens very slowly, but over a lot of time. And know who goes in their crawl space, who goes in their basement, and looks out, and they wouldn't know if they saw this, what was going on probably. So it's worth checking out. And that's, this is that sill plate, okay. And no, this is a, I'm sorry, this is a beam. This is a main beam, and then that's a joist goes across. So termites are a whole different thing. We talk about decks are just a thing. So there's a lot of, I don't have time to go into it, but decks carry the homeowner have, let's put a deck on it. Well, let me look at some YouTube videos, or it could be before YouTube was invented, and they added the deck, and There's 2 nails holding the boards in. It's like, so don't have a rave on that deck. If the inspector sees this in the furnace, and the furnace is old, and the inspector says have it further evaluated by an HVAC person, do it before you sell it. Just do it, or you'll might be replacing it. I gotta get to it. Wait, it's almost there. The air conditioner, it settles with the ground around the house after it gets installed. The ground around the house will settle because it was backfilled with dirt, and it sinks, and the air conditioner does that. Just needs to be level. They do not like to run it in there.
Shouldn't there be a slab in
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
There might be under that, but yeah, it'd be nice to, they need that too.
there? Yeah.
But yeah, that too. But what jumps out is like, let's, while you're at it, and they make composite ones that you can slide underneath it. You just have to raise it up, level it, slide the composite deck underneath it. So, okay, here's it.
Oh, gee.
Okay, so that's a horizontal crack. So in basements, all right, you have 2 kinds of cracks. Good cracks and bad cracks. So this guy is a horizontal crack, ceiling, floor, and it's pushing in to the house. It's basically the foundation is pushing it in, or the dirt behind is pushing it in. It's called hydrostatic pressure, which is water. And that pressure of the water behind that wall is going to push that in, especially with concrete block. It's fixable, but it's a big deal. And in this case, this is where, your general practitioner says, no, that sounds funny. You probably ought to talk to a cardiologist. This looks funny. Funny, peculiar, not funny, haha. You better talk to a structural engineer. And so we'll call in structural engineer. And I list literally a third an agent out of my list my fast. That's our 2. Oh, it's no big deal. These things happen all the time. I'm like, he was such a good friend, and I took him aside and said, don't, that's a big deal. Oh, I thought it was just a typical crack. I said, no, typical crack is this. So in the basement of, where you got either a porous foundation or a block. So if you got block foundation and you got this block foundation going on, and you got a crack coming down here, one here, and there's maybe a 1/4 inch of separation. You just need to fill it. If there's no deflection, this is called deflection. Capitalize, hold it. 14, big, it's deflection. If there's no deflection, this is called step cracking. It's typical settlement crack. It's okay. This is, I won't say breathe in, but yeah, you want to get this checked out. And then on a non block foundation, you're going to get the window that's up above, right? You got the window up here, and you get this crack that's coming down like that. Okay, that's a typical settlement crack. Now, you need to have it fixed properly, and fixed properly doesn't mean taking some smuts and just going, there, I fixed it. Okay, they actually inject epoxy into the, drill holes and inject epoxy in so that it fills that hole from inside outside in, so that it's filled so that you don't get water coming through. So that's a really important one to fix properly, and we see them fixed properly all the time. I see them fixed properly. So those basement cracks, that's a bad guy though. You see that? The only time I saw it where it wasn't a bad guy, that's the first one, is Olga St. Pierre showed us this house, right? We first moved here. And usually I would walk around the outside of the house first. I went to the basement. In the basement, the second tier of concrete blocks down. The second of these was pushed in a crack. It's like that far below grade. And usually your crack is going to be in the middle or down low. Went down to the outside of the house. There's a tree that far from the foundation. Not big around. It's like, so that tree was pushing down. So still compromised, but easier to fix. So yeah. That, ladies and gentlemen, call us. That's it. Yeah.
You're me sending out these slides tomorrow? Yeah. Okay, so all these slides will be sent out tomorrow, along with the recording. All right, good, man, let's stay on point. Foundation cracks, I think we're good there, we just went over that. Stucco, that's the F word in real estate. Okay, stucco's horrible. Stucco is very bad. I hate stucco. Stucco is terrible. There are veteran agents out there. I won't mention them because you're not allowed to do that, you know? We won't actually show homes that are stucco unless there's a pre-sale inspection.
J&J won't pay your relocation fees, which I know can be $60,000 a move.
Yeah.
They won't pay your relocation fees.
Yep.
If you're gonna buy a stucco house.
Here's the whole thing you need to know about stucco quickly. You know who brought stucco to the northeast of the United States? The new home builders. I was there when it happened. Ryan Homes, who I was working with for 7 years, and every single customer said, "Are your choices brick or siding? Can I have something else?" So finally, Ryan Homes and all these other builders, but Ryan's always been the largest in this area, we're told. They brought him up. You know why stucco sucks in the Northeast? Why the problems occur? Close. Say that again. You're both on it, so I'll go there. Basically, the whole thing is, anybody ever live here in the Southwest?
Yeah.
Okay, what part? New Mexico, that's a cool state. Santa Fe, is that a good place? I heard a lot of good art there. Yeah, Texas is Southwest. Where'd you live in Texas?
I was,
West Texas.
oh, where or when?
Where?
I was in San Antonio.
Oh,
That's Southwest.
Oh, Southwest.
San Marcos, right at the river.
Dallas.
New Brunswick. But anyway, in Texas or New Mexico or Arizona, the temperature is pretty steady, right? They don't have winters, they don't have snow, right?
We had it.
Okay, but it's relatively not like the Northeast. Is that a better way of putting it?
Yeah.
So here's the whole thing with stucco. When it got here, when it gets hot, it expands,
Yeah.
which that allows water to go through it. When it contracts, it squeezes and cracks. That was the problem with the northeast of the United States. So stucco, let's just say you have a stucco inspection, you're a buyer. You know how much roughly on a single family home, 3,000 square feet, correct me if I'm wrong, stucco repair would cost if stucco's bad? Roughly? 25, 30?
60 to 80. So,
Okay.
so if it's all four
Say
sides,
more.
all four sides of a.
My last one was 25, that's why I said that.
All four sides of a 3,000 square foot house, all four sides,
That's what, yeah, okay.
is gonna be 60 grand. I've heard of stucco, I know people, I've met people over the years with stucco places who are upside down in their house because
They can't move.
they can't
Yeah.
sell it. They'll lose money.
Yep.
They have to walk away from the house or stay there. And it's all because the stucco was installed incorrectly.
If you guys sell a stucco house,
We-
you better get an inspection. You will get sued. If the buyer moves in there and you know,
But here's the thing.
stucco's scary, man.
Yeah, without inspections, because we're gonna call out stucco in an inspection. And we're gonna say, observe these issues with the stucco, which is a long list of things we've observed. Because they all have it in the 90s. The bad 1940s, stucco house, probably not a problem.
No,
Stucco-
1990 to about 2005.
Yeah, right before the crash.
Yes,
So 2008.
okay.
But 1940s houses, stucco over solid substrate, which is all brick, over concrete block, it's fine. That's called purge coat. It's basically it's an eccentric purge coat. But it's solid. But when it gets put over frame, which is 2x4s and stuff, that's when it retains moisture and water gets behind it, and they haven't included any way for it to get out. So when they tear off the stucco, I was at a stucco tear off once, and there were two people sitting in the yard, nicely dressed, in lawn chairs, attorneys for each side watching this tear off. I was doing the home inspection. I don't know why I was doing the home inspection, I was doing the stucco tear off, whatever, but it was like, some work is going to the attorneys for themselves. Watching this all go, okay. So yeah, it's a contentious kind of thing. If we call it out during inspection, okay, you sell stucco house, we're gonna say, have it further evaluated by stucco specialist. That means the stucco specialist will come out and they'll drill into the house, which doesn't make the sellers happy. they're gonna drill holes all over the side of the house, that map the moisture, We used to do those inspections, we don't do. Just,
Stucco inspection costs.
for the front, what we were charging is probably the same, for just the front of that 3,000 square foot house would be $750.
Okay.
For the sides are gonna be another $250 per side.
Right, so if you have a buyer go out there and they do a stucco inspection and it fails and the seller's like, I ain't doing shit, I can't afford that. Your buyer is now out the money of that stucco inspection.
$1,500.
You guys catch me on that one? That was important.
Yes.
Okay. So like if you guys ever come to me on anything stucco, we're doing an inspection. You're selling a house, you're doing stucco, and I will actually make you sign a waiver saying that I have recommended and you've decided, your customer has decided not to do stucco, because that is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Stucco scares me, as you can probably see. I mean, it's a big deal. What's that?
That's nice, I didn't know what that.
Now, remember the 4-letter word? I use that for a reason. Not much scares me in life, but stucco scares me, absolutely.
So, real quick, next thing was plumbing sounds.
Good.
Okay,
Mold, you good on mold? You skip over that, you good?
We're gonna-
I think we covered it.
Yeah, okay, just wanna make sure, that you're good.
yeah, so on a house, we're gonna talk about chimneys, okay? Santa coming down. But you got this thing, right? What's that? Anybody know what the little white? Usually-
The release, the air release from.
Yeah, exactly, it's a vent stack. So that vent stack is really, really important. Without it, your plumbing isn't gonna drain. You have to have an offset. When you flush the toilet, you have to have that air go a different direction because it's offsetting air inside the pipes. So you have to have that air go somewhere. And so that's why you have venting. If you flush the toilet and the bathtub goes, go, okay, that's a venting, you have a venting issue. Now, maybe a drainage issue, maybe a venting issue, but it's a ventilation issue, it's a venting issue. So that's why they call it plumbing, HVAC, okay, heating, ventilation, and AC, so air conditioning. So that's the V in ventilation, because plumbing, it's an integral part of plumbing. Think about, none of you guys, maybe soda can,
Yes.
before the pull tab, before the, we had the little V-shaped thing.
Peels.
Yeah, okay, all right, so you
Like the
punch it.
V8s used to be like that.
Yeah, so, well, they had that.
No, no,
They had that
Before-
cool
this is-
metal tap
This
thing.
is before that, the
But
top
I
of
bet
the
you
can
hold it in
had
your hand
nothing.
and
Had
punch
nothing.
it through.
You take a, you know how a bottle opener on one side has a pointy thing?
Yeah.
I thought it
Just-
was
You put
that.
that and you put a hole in it, a little V-shaped hole.
I was
Well,
wondering
if all you put is one
Hawaiian
V-shaped.
punch.
Yeah, you put one V-shaped hole in there, you can't get anything out of it. You gotta ventilate, you put another V-shaped hole on the other side, now it ventilates, now you can drink it.
Yeah, that makes
So-
sense.
Yeah, so, history lesson included, no change.
So that same.
So you
concept
gotta have
is
this guy on the
okay.
top, and if they put an addition in, the addition has to be all tied to this. Okay, if they put a bathroom or two or whatever in the addition, there has to be plumbing ventilation. And we see that a lot where, it wasn't, so.
Could they just add a separate one?
Yeah, you can add a separate one, yeah, and usually that's what happens, is we're gonna have a whole separate system of plumbing. Roofing, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
so quickly, most of you guys are dealing with Philly houses, flat roofs, any flat roofs?
How about Trenton? Trenton has a lot of flat roofs.
Oh, yeah,
Trenton,
yeah, good Trenton, yeah, oh, yeah.
It's not overlooked that. It's like 20% of our business here.
So there's two types of systems. There's a watershed system, which is a shingle roof. Watershed system means it's gonna shed water, but it's not waterproof. So, next time you have that driving sideways rain, you'll know that it's not waterproof because water's gonna get up and go underneath those shingles. Not supposed to, but it will. So that's a watershed system. Think of a thatched roof in the jungle, that kind of a thing. It works. I built one. However, flat roofs are waterproof systems. They have to stay waterproof. And so they'll hold water. Evidence the fact of a picture I have from a flat roof in Philly, that the roof next door had a drainage issue. And there was that much water standing on that roof. The weight of that was
They'll collapse the roof.
scared me to death. Yeah, it was like a foot of water standing on one end of this roof. And I know the drain on the back of the house was clogged, where the water goes down the drain. And it was just clogged, so, clogged that. That's what it is. But it's a waterproof system. So those are the two big differences in roofs. Then there's materials, like on watershed roofs, slate tile, you've got tile, slate roofs. Those are really specialty. We can't go on those. They're very specialized, and you need a special roofer to go up and fix those. The rest of them, I can tell more about a roof from an attic than I can tell from the surface. I can see what's got it. Not being able to see an attic drives me nuts. If they finish the upstairs, and I can only assess the roof based on what I see on the roof. And that's where we use infrared on a couple of our different types of inspections. That's where if you have a finished attic or upper floor of a house or a cape that's been kicked out that has the finished attic, you use the infrared, you can see water that you can't see with the naked eye.
There's a lot to know about, but that's probably it.
Chimneys, there's 3 levels of inspection. So there's a level 1 inspection. That's a visual inspection. We do that during home inspections. We're gonna look at the outside of the chimney, at the cap and crown if we can see it. We're gonna look up the chimney by putting our head inside we're talking wood burning fireplace chimneys, up that way. However, that's level 1. We cannot see up inside the flue, what kind of flue liner it is. And so we can't really see all that. Level 2 chimney is where they're gonna put, actually, there's just they're gonna put a scope, basically like a sewer scope line. They're gonna put a video camera down the chimney or up the chimney and look at what's going on inside. That's level 2. And on the cap and the crown, so there's a chimney cap, which is basically the top of the chimney. So if you have a chimney coming out the roof, you've got this right here, this bevel, and then you've got the liner sticking out, and then you've got the crown is what keeps birds and stuff out from crawling in. Okay, and not necessarily water. People are like, if it doesn't have it, am I going to get water in my fireplace? 4x4 hole? No. By the time it makes it down the chimney, it's not going to be enough to count. However, we call it out if it's that. A lot of times this is cracked when you get up there. You can see that the concrete on the top is cracked and it just needs some tender loving care. So simple fixes, but important. Liner is really important. If you have an oil burning furnace, the terracotta liner that they put in originally in the house, the gases from the oil are super caustic and they eat through that. And I've seen some terracotta liners that are gone. There's like little remnants left. And if you open the clean out down by the boiler and you pull off the cap of that, it's just powder falls out. And that's what used to be the chimney. And so you need to have it relined. That could be a big dollar. That could be $2,000-3,000. So reline the chimney. So so more on chimneys, but that's probably it. Oil tanks. Buried oil tanks are probably the biggest concern. And first of all, as the inspector will look for signs of an oil tank. There's obvious signs of an oil tank. If the house has been converted to gas, for instance, but yet we see pipes sticking through the basement wall. But you look out in the street and there's a strip about this wide of newer street material of asphalt. They put in gas. They ran the gas. And an oil tank. So there's a little bit of sleuth work. There's a little bit of detective work involved. Hey, I wonder if this ever had a tank. And then the question is this a buried tank? That's one thing we don't do. We don't do tank searches. We have companies that we refer that can, but the equipment is just. And there's some inspection companies that do tank searches, but they only use a metal detector, like you see people on the beach that don't have anything else to do. I can see that from here. I'm just scared to look at beats like that. But there's a magnetic imaging thing that's like 25 grand. It's on wheels. You want that done because the metal detector will not necessarily find that tank that's buried. So keep that in mind. Oil tanks on the inside of the house, smell fine. A little bit, maybe if you have an oil tank in the basement. But most people don't really care. But we also always look at the belly of the tank. Is it rusted? Because tanks, water, obviously oil floats, water sinks. So the tanks rust from the inside. So they don't rust from the outside in. Even if you got a damp basement, that tank's gonna rust from the inside out. So if you see rust on the bottom of the tank, by the way, don't do this underneath the tank with your hand. I only have to do that once. It's like rusty tank and you go like that. It's like, oh, I just got crap on my hand. When was my last step in the shop? And, but it is, it's like, if it's rusty on the bottom, you know you've got something that's good. So. It's important. Cisterns we talked about. Favorite cistern recently last year was in the backyard, huge, concrete bunker underground, 6 feet deep, 6 feet square. And it just goes down. It's like, what's this? Oh, people who buy the house. And I went out to look at it because I have video on Instagram. It's like, what is going on out here? But it turned out because of the water flow down the back of these yards, they put it in to collect water and then disperse it down further down the hill. So, yeah, cisterns are like the water. There's also cisterns on top of buildings that collect rainwater, and that's a whole, we don't see those. So.
What we will do as a follow-up class, I haven't scheduled it right yet, but 4 weeks, 6 weeks, somewhere right around there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take an inspection report. I have one up here. This is not pillars and posts, it's just one I had to review recently. And we're gonna print out all 35 pages, break you guys in teams of 3 or 4. And you're gonna do a reply to inspection to the other side. And I and Greg will be the sellers on the other side, coming back at you. Okay.
This up. This is great.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah, I just haven't included you as on in the past because I know it's a little, but that way, even though I'll lead the class, I could also, when you guys go say, Dave, on page 17, verse 3, chapter 5, what does that mean? And I don't know what that means either, But that way we could have him translate as well too. So I think that will put you guys in a much better spot because when you get this for the first time and you start seeing some of the stuff that are on these inspection reports, it's overwhelming, guys. And each one does it a little different. I mean, just picking one at random. The sill is too loose at the lower level bath. This is a tripping hazard, so it needs to be repaired. A qualified tradesman should repair or replace that. You know what you do on the buyer side when you see that? Ain't no big deal. Next. It's not. That can be done. That can be fixed. You know what I mean? That's not a major issue. But you have to know which ones are priorities and which ones aren't. And like this company that does it, this is one for Cherry Hill. You see like steps, stairways, balconies, and railings. No problem. That one's good. As built, finished, whatever. But each one of these are a little bit different when they come through. But that's going to be one of our next follow-up classes that we'll have with Greg. And I think you guys find a lot of value on that one.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Good.
Cool.
All right, staying right on point, as
So
always.
if you want to ride along, I'll send it through Dave, but there's an invitation you can get to ride along with one of our inspectors on inspection. So.
Yep. And you have access now to my shared drive with all these people.
Oh, yeah.
So I give you access, so you have their emails.
Okay, I'll just send it off.
Absolutely.
Do we have a sign-in sheet for tonight? Because
I forgot about
I
that.
lost track of names.
It's a mega sign sheet.
Yeah, you guys are welcome. I don't know. Y'all were here when. One of my favorite songs. And I've got your email addresses in the shared drive, right?
Yeah.
So just your name is good.
Exactly. Yeah, they're all in there. With YouTube, make sure you keep it in
Where's
your
the
email.
More important thing, where's the hiring happy hour?
About a block away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
4 Seasons? Wow, you go all
No,
out.
no. Brickhouse Tavern, Brickhouse Tavern. So we'll have that next
Wow.
week. All right, right on time. Let's do our ahas. So with our ahas, either what was the main thing you learned tonight? Or what question do you have, especially as we hang out with Greg? Is this pretty good? Find some value in tonight?
Yes.
Okay, good. Most of you guys understand, because again, I have people that are just joining the office. And I've got some veterans here, so it's a little bit of a mix, so we try to keep it as much. But our aha moments, I'll start on the right tonight. Tiff, what you come up with? What was your aha? Should give you advance warning, should I? Carry her while I come back.
So I have a question about, when relining the chimney. Is it like, so I know, is it like a stiff thing, like, when you reline it? Is it like.
Good question. So, yes, but it doesn't have to be. So, especially with a terracotta chimney, I just done on the property in Hampton. They can actually go in and reline the chimney with a mortar, and it relines it, and it's a third the cost, maybe half the cost. So, super effective, and it's got a 15-year guarantee, so it's good for fireplaces especially. But yeah, they can reline it with mortar, and it's this whole system that they have. Otherwise, it's a solid, usually stainless steel, and it's, they basically drop it in top down.
Also, I do want you to understand there's a difference between inspections on the buyer side. Inspections you need from a township in order to get the CO, the certificate of occupancy, or you guys call it in Jersey, use and occupancy. Same thing, CO, unit, okay? But the thing is, every single township is like a wild frickin' west, okay? There's no rhyme, there's no reason. And, you know, I hate to use PA stuff, I just know it better, but like when we always used to joke in Pennsylvania, like you have Doylestown, where I live, in the township, the borough itself, it is extremely difficult. There's about 7 different forms that are needed. You have to have an electrician come out, you have to have a plumber come out, you have to have a source scope come out. If you live outside the borough, you know, 1/10 of 1 mile away, there's nothing. So every single township is different. But there are 2 different things. But from the seller side, that 400 level that I went to, well, if you got an inspection, you got all that stuff kind of pretty much blessed. It's a lot easier with the township, isn't it? Especially when you can show them an inspection. You guys got me on that one? Because that is a big difference, just so you understand it, because we have a wide range in here. You all good with
And
it?
the township requirements change, stand up on those stuff, because people come to me and say, well, is your sewer scope gonna satisfy, you know, such and such township? It's like,
Wild friggin' west.
I can't tell you.
Yeah.
All I know is in Philly, so the township inspection is they go to Earth and they check and see if it's, yep, it's there. Yep, it passes. That's it.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Not really. I don't think they even do that.
The hardest one in our entire area where we come from is a place called Warrington, Pennsylvania, $400,000 sales price. It is so extremely crazy. Like the door, my favorite part is the door letters have to be, what is it, Arabic size 10, and you're able to see it from the street.
Wow.
Soulberry, anybody know where Soulberry is?
Yeah.
Okay, average sales price there is what, about $1 million, at least?
Good chance.
There are no township regulations on that.
They said, hey.
It makes absolutely no sense, right?
For yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're on your own.
What you
They
got?
wanna tame the peasants.
You're soon to be a knowledgeable investor.
Yeah. Not all bad. There's some worse than others. Usually all need attention.
Yeah.
Of some kind.
Good.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. I'm not asking you any of them, only
Okay.
because I bought a house as is 23 years ago, and I have learned everything that I could. But I'll just comment that I'm going to use you in my business,
Great. Thanks.
because I think that the inspector that I had, I did not meet, I was not there. They're not. Wow, is that bad? I think they can be paid off. I'm being blunt. I think they can be paid off.
That's yeah. Interestingly,
I'm so
in
blunt
12
because I'm
years,
so pissed off about it in 23 years
in
later.
12 years with,
Yeah.
we've done 25,000 inspections in my time on the business, because we were doing, before the waiving thing came out, we were doing 2,000 inspections a year in 2019. And I've only had one time where that came up.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
Yeah.
it's interesting. There's just, the thing about our businesses, and maybe it's possible, there's not enough involved.
I'm sorry.
There's not enough money involved on my end
Well, yeah,
to
no.
count. It's like, well, I'll give you $25 if I can have all your inspection business. I
I
mean,
still think it's possible. I
it's,
still think
anything's
doable.
possible, I believe me. There's some, like I
Shady
said,
folks.
there's some shady folks out there. Yeah.
What'd you come up with? Well, you have a bit more of a,
Learning
yeah,
for me, I'm not having dealt with it directly, the stucco thing, the extent of the stucco problem was news to me. I do have a question, I've got two questions, but one that can probably be answered reasonably.
and Greg and I will hang out for 15
Okay.
minutes after class, just so everybody knows,
This
because we
is
know we
some-
are hurrying this up.
Something that actually happened. Inspector comes out and expires on there and represented them, and he says, okay, it rained last night, we're not gonna go up on the roof. Because it could be slippery. And now, it worked out okay because the place wasn't that old, everybody could stand on the ground and look and see that it seemed like it was all right. And it actually was a condo, and so if there was a problem with the roof, the homeowners association was responsible for it. So we smoothed it over. But outside of that type of setup, is that reasonable for the inspector to say? And, you know, outside of the conditions I've outlined, you know, would you then have to reschedule?
So, no, so that, in my world,
Yeah.
okay, the inspector has, he can say, it's his choice.
Yeah, right. Makes
I'll
sense to me.
never,
Yeah.
I'll never override him and say, you should have gone on that route. I've overridden Sharif. You shouldn't go on that roof. Oh my God, you're killing me here, you're making me nervous. I fell off 12 years ago, so, broke my back, so, you know, it's like, welcome to home inspections. So, oh, by the way, it wasn't anything to do with the condition of the roof. I needed a ladder safety.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I leave it up to the inspector. However, if it rained the night before and the roof is wet.
Yeah.
No, they don't have to go on the roof.
Okay.
However, we will go back and get on that roof. Or something. When we pick up the radon detector, if there's no radon, we'll go back anyway. If there's snow on the roof, we have in the winter time,
Yeah.
years ago when we actually had snow.
I remember
Back
that.
in the old days, when we had snow, we wouldn't, we'd have a running list of the board in the office of roofs we had to get to when the snow cleared. It was crazy. And so we go out and get on the roof because now the roof is, walking the roof is too important. There's a lot of guys that use drones now.
Oh, yeah.
And
You need to be certified to do that.
Not good.
not good, not my choice. And the only reason is Jim Summers was with us when we bought the company, taught me, me and Randy taught me, they were the inspectors that were here when I bought it. Taught me a lot. First two-story house, and I was a rock climber, right, full 1,000 feet. But I have a rope, land, right, back in the day. I'm going up a two-story in Philly in front of the house, and it's a full extension of a 32-foot ladder. And it's going about that far above. And I followed Jim up the ladder. He looked like Super Mario. From Super Mario. So you hear dun, 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 dun. I'm just like, but he goes up the ladder and he's like, been doing this for years. He gets to the top and he holds the top of the ladder. Come on. Upstairs. Come on. I'm like, okay. So I'm going up the ladder and I'm like, okay, about this company. I'm not used to going this high on the ladder. Get to the top. He's standing, and he's like, all right, wait. And I'm like, got my hand on the top of the rung. He's like, wait, I gotta explain something to you. What? Get off the ladder. I want you to tell me what it feels like under your feet. Okay, just let me do this. So I come up over and he helped me up over. And he had to I stepped down and it was like stepping on mashed cornflakes sprinkled on the floor with a big heavy sheet of plastic. The whole roof was crunchy. He said that, and they had a nice new black coating. Beautiful. And it looked okay. It looked okay from the roof. No one's gonna see that it looks okay. And he said, that's why I climb ladders. I'll never forget it. It was just, the whole experience was like, probably my first week going into business, because that's the first thing I did was let's go on inspections. So that's.
So beware of drones.
I would, 3-story house where the ladder's not gonna get there, yeah, we have one of our guys that personally owns a drone, and I just give him $50, whatever kind of bucks, they go out and run your drone on this, but it's a very rare exception.
Also, we have some extra shirts here, so anybody can grab them, mostly large and extra large, unfortunately, but feel free when you walk out, grab a shirt in case you don't have one. You're brand new, I usually don't, anything you want to add, or do you want me to move on?
Yeah, I will add one.
Sure, go ahead.
I guess my aha moment would be like, I've always admired stucco houses. Always told my parents I want a stucco house, and hearing everything about it, I don't want anything to do with it.
Phoenix is a beautiful place, you'd love living there. It's very
Built after 2008.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's.
Definitely.
What you come up with?
So I guess just a comment, when you went on the inspection with your son, and you weren't in uniform. So it's the Army saying that my first sergeant used to say is do the right thing when no one's watching, because someone's always watching.
Integrity.
So
Yes.
that's my thing.
Well, and I did go on, so yeah, that's a great point. I kept my mouth shut. It's like, I'm not here. I've seen Deal Killer Dad. And yeah, I have. But
That inspector could have said, could have looked over something and you would have caught that.
Oh, I was watching.
Yeah.
But he did a great job. He did a good job. So, but I was watching everything. I was inspecting them with him. I just couldn't catch that screwdriver, do that. So I just, I was really, and my daughter, my son, he's the artist, but my daughter is a cabinet builder. My daughter is a cabinet builder. She's finished way around the house. So she was pretty. So yeah, that's good.
Good. What you come up with?
Well, I learned that stucco is the F word.
Serve that for you.
I'm gonna go home and check to see if my stove has the anti-tip.
Yeah.
I did. And it was interesting learning about the plumbing ventilation. I didn't know that when you flush the toilet, so it makes the sound.
Yeah.
So it's good to learn. But everything tonight was good to learn.
2 things you'll see on every single inspection report for the rest of your life: anti-tip brackets, and HVAC is kind of old. You should have somebody check it out. That's on every single inspection report for the rest of your career. House can be like 6 days old. It's getting on that inspection report, I swear. It's on every one. So go ahead. What'd you come up with?
All of it, I'm not even joking, but I do like, you sold me on you and the company, I definitely will be using you, from the integrity, I'll be promoting you, so I'm looking forward to that, but cisterns was new for me, so I had to actually Google it, now I can say I walked away learning something.
Yeah, systems are.
It's up on Jeopardy, you're squared away.
Yes, I'm scared of that.
Yeah, me was the foundation crack. I feel like if you see a crack, the houses say no go, no good.
Yeah.
But obviously, so, and I say the same thing. I'm excited to have to use you guys.
Well, thank you.
Because I don't think, I don't know, in my mind, I'm thinking, with all this information, how can somebody pass it up?
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, certainly happy to help. So I appreciate you guys. New experience, whatever I can do to help.
Yeah, so next week, Tuesday night, obviously we don't have class, so we'll be at hiring happy hour for us. Please join us. A lot of people did last time. We had a good time. And Greg will be there as well for any follow-up questions as well. He's going to be our sponsor.
I'll be lit up. Drunk as a skunk. I won't answer any questions.
Take a shirt before you come. And we'll hang out for 15 minutes afterwards in case you have any follow-up questions. But again, big round of applause for Greg. Yeah, I'll send out everything, including the slides. Thank you.
Awesome participation.